Welcome to the lecture. In this lecture, we will learn about elements of organizational behavior, contributing fields, challenges, and opportunities of organizational behavior, responding to global and cultural diversity. Let's see the element of organizational behavior. In today's dynamic professional landscape, understanding why people act the way they do within a workplace is not just an academic exercise. It is a core requirement of effective management and leadership. Organizational behavior examines the interactions between individuals, groups, and the structures that define a company. By analyzing these elements, we can uncover the drivers of efficiency, employee satisfaction, and overall performance. Throughout this session, we will move beyond simple observation to understand the systemic forces that shape the modern corporate environment. Before we dive into the core content, let's outline our goals for this session. By the end of this lecture, you will be able to understand, to identify and explain the four core elements: people, structure, technology, and environment of an organization. Second, discuss the contributing disciplines that inform organizational behavior, such as psychology, sociology, and anthropology. Third, to analyze the contemporary challenges facing organizations, including globalization, workforce diversity, and the concept of temporariness. Fourth, to evaluate the opportunities of organizational enhancement provides for productivity, innovation, and ethical behavior. Fifth, understand how to manage cultural diversity and foster inclusive leadership in a globalized market. What exactly constitutes organizational behavior? At its simplest, it is the study of how people, as individuals and in groups, act within an organization. But it is also much more than that. It is an applied science that looks at how the organizational structure itself, the technology used, and the external environment influence these human interactions. Why do some teams thrive under pressure while others crumble? Why do certain organizational structures foster innovation while others stifle? These are the questions of organizational behavior seeks to answer. It provides a systematic way of looking at behavior to improve an organization's effectiveness. We are not just looking at what is happening, but why it is happening and how we can predict or influence future outcomes. The first and most vital element of any organization is people. They represent the living, breathing social system of the company. This system is composed of individuals and groups, both formal groups like departments and project teams, and informal groups, which are social networks and friendships that form naturally. Each person brings a unique set of skills, attitudes, and personalities to the table. This diversity is a strength, but it is also add complexity in an organization. For instance, an employee's behavior is not just a result of their personality, it is also shaped by group norms and the company's policies. Have you ever wondered why a high performing individuals might struggle when moved to a different team? Often the answer lies in the internal social system. the way that person's unique traits interact with the group's collective attitude. Managing this behavior effectively is the cornerstone of organizational success. If people are soul of an organization, structure is its skeleton. Structure defines the formal relationship and roles within a company. It outlines who is responsible for what, who reports to whom, and how decisions are made. A well-defined structure provides clarity and reduces confusion. For example, in a traditional hierarchical structure, the lines of authority are clear, which can be very efficient for routine tasks. In contrast, a flat structure encourages more collaboration and faster decision making by reducing the layers of management. A clear structure reduces confusion and conflict in an organization. The third element is technology. This does not just mean computers and software. It refers to the tools, equipment, and work processes used to produce goods and services. Technology has a profound impact on the behavioral side of work. Think about how to shift to virtual meetings has changed how we communicate. Technology can increase efficiency through automation, but it also requires employees to constantly adapt. It influences the pace of work and even the physical conditions of the workplace. When technology is integrated properly, it acts as an enabler for innovation. However, if it is poorly managed, it can lead to stress and a feeling of disconnect among the workforce. Final core element is the environment. No organization exists in a vacuum. Every company operates within an external environment that includes economic trends, government regulations, social shift, and technological advancement. For example, a change in labor law or a sudden economic downturn can force an organization to rethink its entire strategy. Successful organizations are those that monitor these external factors and adapt quickly. If the environment is dynamic and changing, the organization must be flexible. This external pressure often dictates how people are managed and how the structure must evolve to survive. Let's revise what we have learned till now. First, major section. We have identified that organizational behavior is built on four pillars like people. To people is for make up the social system. Then structure. Structure provides the formal framework. And technology. Technology provides the tools to perform tasks. And the last one, environment. Environment provides the external context in which the organization must survive. Together, these elements interact to create the unique behavior of any given organization. Transition from the what to where, let's look at the disciplines that contribute to our understanding of organizational behavior. The most prominent contributor is psychology, coming from Greek word psyche. It means soul. Psychology is the science that seeks to measure, explain, and sometimes change human behavior. In an organizational context, psychology helps us to understand individuals' behavior. It explains motivation, personality, perception, and learning, used in recruitment, training, and leadership development. It helps to predictive power, enhances understanding of job satisfaction. A newer contributor to organizational behavior is medicine. You might ask, how does medicine relate to management? So, the answer is stress. In our modern high pressure work environments, work related stress, tension, and depression are significant issues. Medicine helps us understand the physiological consequences of stress and how to create healthier work environments. On the other hand, we have sociology. While psychology focuses on the individual, sociology looks at the person in relation to their fellow human beings. It studies group dynamics, communication patterns, and how power and status work within a social system. For example, sociology explains why some groups develop their own unofficial norms that might even contradict the company's official rules. Social psychology is a fascinating blend of both psychology and sociology. It focuses on the influence of individual on one another. A major area of contribution here is change management, how to reduce resistance to change and how to improve group decision making. Anthropology, the science of man, provides a broader lenses. It examines cultures and environments to help us understand differences in fundamental values and attitudes. When organizations become global, anthropology becomes crucial. It helps managers understand why a reward system that works in the United States might fail in Japan or India due to different cultural expectations regarding individualism versus collectivism. Finally, we have the contributions from political science, engineering, and economics. Political science help us to understand how people acquire power and how they use it to build coalition or resolve conflicts. Engineering, specifically industrial engineering, focuses on work measurement and productivity, ensuring that workflow is designed efficiently. Lastly, economics. It provides the framework for understanding human resource markets and cost-benefit analysis. How do we decide how much to pay an employee? How do we forecast human resource needs for the next 5 years? These are economic questions that directly affect organizational behavior. In summary, organizational behavior is a multidisciplinary field. It draws from psychology for individual insights, sociology and social psychology for group dynamics, anthropology for cultural context, and medicine for well-being. Additionally, engineering, economics, and political science provide the structural and systemic tools needed to manage a modern workforce. Now that we understand the foundations, let's discuss the modern challenges. The first major challenge is globalization. The world economy is no longer a collection of isolated markets. It is an interconnected web. Globalization affects a manager in two primary ways. First, you may find yourself on a foreign assignment, managing people whose language and customs are different from your own. Second, even if you stay in your home country, you will likely work with colleagues and bosses from different cultures. This requires a high level of cultural intelligence. How do you motivate someone whose values are fundamentally different from yours? Organizational behavior provides the tools to navigate this cross-border complexity. While globalization looks at differences between countries, workforce diversity looks at differences within a country. Organizations are becoming more heterogeneous in terms of gender, age, races, and ethnicity. The challenge here is that employees do not leave their cultural values at the door when they come to work. Management must learn the value these differences rather than trying to force everyone into a single mold. Studies show that diverse teams are often more innovative, but only if the organization knows how to manage that diversity. So, effectively to prevent conflict. Another forcing challenge is the rising labor shortage, particularly in skilled positions. This is often driven by demographic shifts like low birth rates. In such a market, wages alone are not enough to retain talent. Managers must understand human behavior to create a workplace where people want to stay. Coupled with this is the shift towards a service economy. In developed nations, the vast majority of jobs are in service industries. This means employees are in direct contact with customers. In this environment, an employee's attitude is the product. Organizational behavior helps managers create a customer responsive culture where employees are motivated to provide excellent service. We are also seeing a shift in how power is distributed. Today, managers are often called coaches or facilitators. We call this empowerment. It involves pushing decision making down to the operating level. But here is the reflection point. Is empowerment always a good thing? While it increases job satisfaction, it also requires employees to take on more responsibilities and managers to let go of control. This happens in an environment of temporariness. Jobs, teams, and even entire organizational structures are in a constant status of flux. Employees must learn to live with unpredictability, constantly updating their skills to stay relevant. For survive today, an organization must be innovative, but innovation doesn't come from a machine. It comes from people. Organization behavior explores how to create a culture that rewards creativity and tolerates the productive failure that often accompanies innovation. At the same time, we must address work-life conflict with 24 into 7 connectivity. The line between work and home has blurred. Employees are working longer hours and dual career couples face immense pressure. Organizations that offer flexibility, allowing employees to have a life outside of work, are finding they have a significant advantage in attracting top talent. The final challenge we will discuss is ethics. In a world of tough competition, employees often feel pressured to cut corners. They face ethical dilemmas. Should I blow the whistle on something illegal? Should I give an inflated performance review to save a colleague's job? Organizational behavior helps by defining what constitutes ethical leadership. It encourages the creation of a climate where doing the right things is valued more than winning at any cost. A healthy organizational behavior framework provides the moral compass that guides employees through these difficult decisions. Let's revise. Challenges. The modern manager faces a landscape of globalization and diversity. They must directionate labor shortages, prioritize customer service, and empower their staff. All of this occurs in a state of temporariness, requiring a focus on innovation, work-life balance, and ethics. While the challenges are great, the opportunities provided by organizational behavior are even greater. One major opportunity is enhancing quality and productivity by using approaches like total quality management. Organizations focus on continuous improvement. Organizational behavior shows us that quality is not just a technical issue, it is a people issue. When employees at all levels are involved in maintaining standards, errors decreases and operational costs go down. It turns the workforce into a collective engine for excellence. Finally, let's look at how we strategically manage diversity. We often use frameworks like cultural dimensions. This helps us understand concepts like power distance, how much a culture respects authority, or individualism versus collectivism. By understanding these dimensions, a manager can tailor their leadership style. Inclusive leadership ensures that every employee, regardless of their background, feels valued. When diverse perspectives, cultural awareness, and strategic advantages are integrated into the mission of the company, it helps to improve decision making and problem solving. As we conclude this lecture, let's reflect on what we have covered. Organizational behavior is a complex, multifaceted field that sits at the intersection of several social sciences. We have explored its four core elements: people, structure, technology, and the environment. We have seen how it draws from psychology, sociology, and beyond to provide a holistic view of the workplace. We have also acknowledged the significant challenges from globalization to the ethical dilemmas of the modern age. However, the opportunities are clear. By applying the principles of organizational behavior, we can create organizations that are not only more productive and innovative but also more human and inclusive. Remember, an organization is not just a building or a balance sheet, it is a collection of human beings working towards a common goal. Understanding the behavior of what collection is the key to leadership in 21st century. In our next session, we will begin the understanding human behavior, controlling and directing human behavior, models of organizational behavior in more details. So here we end this lecture. Thank you for your attention.